So I had this thing with my going on with my oil gauge, and today on My Younger Life, we're going to figure out just what's going on there, and we're going to replace the part that is an issue. Stay tuned. My oil gauge was at 80 psi, which was maxed out, and this is the little culprit right here, the oil sending unit. It's easily in between the distributor there and the back of, I think that is the alternator, maybe? Anyway, we're going to try to repair this, and oh, look at this. Every time I touch anything, this happens, and you'd think I'd be smart enough to wear gloves. But anyway, we're going to go in here. We're going to clean this puppy up because we're going to be opening up access to an oil line, and we don't want to get anything in there, any grime or dirt. And this car is old; it's 26 years old, so we want to clean that up. It's been in there a long time. The oil pressure sending unit sends messages to your oil gauge to let it know what to read and to tell the passenger or the driver what's going on in your oil line. And mine's been kind of crazy for a long, long time. It's been reading really high, but here's that little culprit. My daughter's Cherokee was all over the place, and she had to replace it. But we have some bulb grease, and then here's the part. You can get this from probably any of your local car parts stores. Mine cost a little under $40. And we're going to gather some tools together. I like to have a flathead screwdriver to use as to pry things, some channel locks just in case it doesn't want to come out willingly, an adjustable wrench, and some gloves that I should have already had on at this point and didn't. So we're going to go in here. Here's an extreme close-up view. The problem with this is it's been in there for 26 years, so we could run into some issues trying to get this off. You'll notice that it is a hex-shaped bolt, and we're going to have to get this adjustable wrench in there, and we don't want to strip that. That is a very common problem when doing repairs or doing anything with a really old part. And like I said, this is 26 years old. So we really want to be careful in trying to remove this, because that would create a whole other issue if we were to tear the corners. And you'll notice that the corners aren't really sharp to begin with, so I'm really hoping that this is not going to be difficult to take out. And I'm gathering, what I did here was I discovered that my crescent wrench, also known as adjustable wrench, didn't open wide enough. I was trying to use the smallest one because it's very hard to get down in this hole with a longer handle, and the wrench just wasn't big enough to go on there. And you can test that wrench against your new part. You don't have to go all the way down in here to test it each time. Take your new part and find the right wrench for this. You could also use a wrench that was not adjustable, but I like this one. An adjustable wrench is pretty versatile. I'm going to take this flathead, and these tabs are notorious for breaking off, especially in a vehicle that's this old. And sorry, I bumped my camera and didn't realize it. It's very hard to get the camera down in here. It's a little hole. So I'm not going to pull on this hard because they do break. I'm just going to get this flathead in there just enough to open that jaws up so I can pull this wiring harness off. And it didn't take much once I got it, and there it's off. And you do want to secure that somewhere. I didn't, and you're going to find out what all happened. Oh, I forgot to tell you something. At the very beginning of this, you didn't see me unhook your battery. Unhook your battery. And I know I didn't go over that in this video, but take off the black cable first, not the red one or the orange one. Take off the black one first, always. And secure that so it doesn't touch anything. Then the battery at that point no longer is giving electricity to anything. So I have the cap off, and now we're going to remove this, and I'm not going to pull hard. You can see I'm barely working it, and I notice a little give in that wrench, so I'm going to have to tighten the screw down a little bit more so that it will be a little more taut, because if you leave it loose, you're going to break it. And I'm also turning it from the top with my other hand to try and get a little more leverage, and you see it turned. So at this point, you don't notice, but That was a big sigh of relief for me, because when these things don't come off easily, as most cases is with this old Jeep, it is a bear. But you see, I told you, you got to tie that harness up or move it out of the way. Twist ties are amazing things, and Velcro straps are amazing things to have. So I'm going to unscrew this, and I can't get it off my hand yet. So I'm going to go back to the wrench. And it looks like I'm like tearing it up. I'm not. It's just very hard to get this longer handle down in this hole. So I'm hitting the back of the wrench against the fender of the vehicle. So here we go. And I'm going to see, no, not yet with my hands. Can I? Nope. I really want to turn it with my hand because it'd be so much easier. But you'll see, this really is an easy repair other than getting in this little hole. That's why I really think that doing this repair as an older woman is actually probably easier than if you were someone with larger hands. My hands fit down in here. I have wide hands, but they aren't very big. So I can get my hands down in here pretty easily. Someone with a really large hand would have trouble, would have to use other methods to remove this, because they probably couldn't get their hand down in here to do what I'm doing. Anyway, it's turning pretty good. There is a rubber gasket in there, so it does keep the threads tight for a little while. That's to seal it off, to keep any type of debris from getting down in your oil line, because that would really make it hard on your oil filter and your other parts, working that dirt and grime all the way through the engine. So we're going to work on getting that out slowly, taking my time so I don't tear anything up or get it cross-threaded or torn out. You shouldn't cross-thread it, backing it out. But so here we go. Here is my part. I'm going to pull that out. I unscrewed it. This is the old part. And you think it looks bad, but that thing's been in this car for 26 years. It's been sending oil pressure readings to my oil gauge in my dash. So, good job. So I'm going to get the new part out. First, check this hole here. It's going to go right in that little hole there. So there's a little dirt on top. That's got to be really careful I don't push all that down inside there. And here it is. I put some bulb grease on there. Bulb grease, they call it bulb grease because it is a type of grease that conducts electricity. So you don't want to use just regular old oil from your vehicle or any old grease. You want a good thin that will conduct electricity. And I've got that threaded. I'm going to screw that in by hand first. It doesn't take long. It's not a lot of turns. You'll see how tight that spot is. See, I have my hand wedged in there. That's the distributor cap to the left, where all your spark plug wires connect. Engine block is there at the 12 o'clock straight ahead. And once we get this in there tight, I didn't show you tighten it back up, but we're going to plug this back in. See, there's a rubber clip on that as well. We're going to seal it up good. It is a little hard to get in there at first because that rubber clip is so tight, and there are two pegs in there. So you have to get those in that plug. Be careful you don't bend them. If they're not seeming to push down, don't force it. You don't want to break or bend those two little metal prongs. But you'll know when you're in the right spot. Once you get it in there, it should push right down, and that piece of plastic, I don't know what it's called. Anyway, that little clip should clip right over that tongue that sticks out there. And once you get that clipped in, you're good to go. I hooked the battery back up. And let's see. This is always the moment where I'm like, please, please, Lord, please, please, let it work, let it work. And so we're going to turn this on. See if our oil pressure is right. That's the little Aladdin lamp there. That's your oil gauge or your oil pressure, depending on the vehicle. I have an old school Jeep here. This thing is so fun to work on. Turned it on, and your oil pressure should climb up somewhere around 40 psi. It was reading 80. Look at that. Stop, stop, stop. Perfect. And that's how you do it, guys. Not a problem at all. I would rate this really high. An 8 on the old lady meter.
So a lot of you are probably wondering, how does this pertain to you? You probably don't have a 94 Jeep Wrangler like I do, and I do recommend the Wrangler, but that's another story. I love mine, but you don't need to have that vehicle to do this job. A lot of your sensors and your sending units aren't really that hard to replace. The best way to do that is to use your owner's manual, do Google searches, but the hardest part is the diagnostic. What is wrong with my vehicle? Why do I have a check engine light on? And that is usually your very first indicator that you have issues. The check engine light or a gauge readings. In my case, it was a gauge reading. You can go to most of your parts stores like Advance, AutoZone, O'Reilly's, and many more. Those are just the ones that are local to me. And a lot of them have the machines to hook up to your vehicle to see why your check engine light is on. It'll throw codes, they'll interpret those codes, and they'll tell you what it is that's wrong with your vehicle. So you can look it up on Google. You can do a Google search. How do I replace oil sending unit? How do I replace the transmission speed sensor? How do I, whatever it is that your gauge told you, or whatever it is that the readings told you. Sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're not. Then you can look in your owner's manual as well. There are a lot of information in your owner's manuals. If you don't have one, I recommend that you download one off the internet, or you go by your local dealership that services your type of vehicle and get them to get you one, to order you one. Also, there's a company, it's Haynes Manuals. You can buy these large books, and they are detailed guides with wiring harnesses and everything if you really want to go in depth. But if you want to keep this simple and just do minor repairs and maintenance, you don't really have to go that far. If you really still have a struggle doing this, if you're not really into spending that much time, allow me, just in the comments below, below this video, just tell me what it is you're having trouble with, and I'll do the best I can. Now, I'm not a mechanic at all. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, and I don't play one on TV. So with all that said, I'll do the best I can. I don't mind doing the searches for you. I can link some videos and work with you on that, because this YouTube channel is all about helping you. It really is. If you really want to help me in my mission here, you don't have to give me any money. You don't have to do anything hard. All you have to do is click that subscribe button down below and let me know you're here. I want to help you, and that subscribe button is your best way to support my mission. Thank you.